I am Kadri, one of the curators, and I will join Karin now for the next part of our evening, that is the flash lectures. That is a long-running format of the Architecture Center.
Kadri Clementi, ka samuti Tallinna arhitektuuribiennaali kuraator, ühineb minuga, et modereerida järgnevat sündmust, mis on arhitektuurikeskuse välkloengud.
If you are thinking that not all of it is in Estonian, so the first one is in English, and we would like to ask you to stay for it because it is the winning team of the vision competition.
Esimene loeng on inglisekeelne ja selle peavad visioonivõistluse võitjad.
And after that we do continue in Estonian, and we will give all the foreigners an opportunity to leave, to spend a little time maybe at the exhibition, and we will welcome you back in less than an hour for some wine and celebration.
Ja sellele järgnevad eestikeelsed loengud, kui siis välismaalastel on võimalus nautida veel näitust ja me ootame kõiki tagasi vähem kui tunni pärast nautima veini ja tähistama.
But now the winning team of the vision competition, Dynamo, is a group of 4 young people that met at the Strelka Institute in Moscow. And 3 of them are architects, 1 of them is an urbanist, and they come from quite different parts of the world. So 1 of them is from the US, 1 of them is from Holland, and Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic. Uh-oh. I'm very sorry. And Poland. So that was a little time travel.
Järgnevad esinejad, siis nagu mainitud, on visioonivõistluse võitjad. Nad on noored arhitektid, kes kohtusid Moskvas Strelka instituudis. Ja nüüd nad esitlevadki oma projekti ja meil on siin ette valmistatud ka eestikeelne tõlge, mille me siis saadame siit eest tahapoole.
Neid liiga palju ei ole, et kes tunneb, et ta inglise keelest aru ei saa, siis siin on väike kokkuvõte.
So we are spreading around the Estonian summary for those who think they might not understand everything in English.
But now we'd like to give the floor to the Dynamo team. Yes.
Hello, everybody. My name is Andre, and I'm from the Czech Republic. And I'm standing here on behalf of our team. And I would like to show you our competition proposal that we named Assembled Ground. After a site analysis that we made, we realized that it's actually possible to read the whole part of this city as a sort of archipelago of different neighborhoods that on one hand are somehow tightly sitting next to each other, but at the same time are sort of separated with different functions, with different culture or natural features, and whereas all that other sort of islands of this archipelago are to a certain extent already city attractors due to its features, our side was still seen, or is actually still perceived as more as a sleeping district that doesn't have many things to offer. So, well, people rather flee away that they would come and visit this place. So we decided to pool the surrounding neighborhoods, or to pool the qualities and features from surrounding neighborhoods to its geographical center, which is our site. How we did it? We decided to densify the woodlands on one part of of our site, and this densification could sort of protrude to the woodlands that are already existing on the south. We connected the neighboring lake with the pond that is now the city's now the center of the site. We are reintroducing the natural grasslands that are now to be found on northwest. And we are also proposing a cooperation with neighboring zoo, maybe not in terms of letting animals run around our place, but perhaps in offering some activities for citizens to offer them sort of connection with nature or life part of nature. But at the same time we thought that the architectural features of this site is some historical heritage that we definitely want to present. But at the same time, what is maybe interesting to preserve, perhaps just in order to speak about it in future, is this kind of intangible heritage and perhaps the spirit of Weke Ismail as it was when it was actually built, how it was meant, and actually for some period of time, as we understood, it worked quite well. It was quite favorite place to live. So we decided to dedicate one part to an open-air museum that would, similarly to those farms next to the coast, simulate some sort of period in urban development of the city. But there is more. On the north, there is commercial and sport center, which is now very frequently visited. Well, we decided to pull this one into our site as well. Maybe not in terms of changing the landscape, but perhaps in introducing different facilities and different functions into until now monotonous, monofunctional residential district. And similarly to that, we would work with this part that comprises mostly of small industries. So as you can see, we were trying to pull, well, to a certain extent, functioning city back to its natural center and create kind of meeting point of all the neighborhoods. At the same time, we are preserving, we hope we are preserving the tangible historical heritage of the whole site. Until now I was more speaking about the urban point of view, but of course, what is the most important thing? How is it perceived by citizens or by residents? And yeah, I would just give a mic to Lindsay, who will tell you the second part.
Thanks. So at the scale of the buildings here in the neighborhood, we wanted to, as Andre said, both preserve the architectural heritage and the intangible qualities of this neighborhood that are so essential to its history, but also to bring, kind of revitalize it through small architectural moves and deconstructions. So we recognized that there was sort of two typologies. Of course, the large housing blocks on site, and then some former institutions like the school that we're sitting in now that maybe we can be a bit more experimental with because of their kind of questionable future. Our idea was that to really liberate the ground plane on site, we could remove the facade panels from the first two floors of the housing blocks and reintroduce the various programs Andre mentioned, commercial activity, office spaces, creative studios, small businesses that the residents of the community could actually take part in. And by physically opening up the space, it would also create a visual connection. And then for the school that we're sitting in, maybe we could be even a bit more radical and completely deconstruct the facade to leave a framework for community activities and new platform for social interaction. So you can see an idea that this space could really become a new communal and social generator, something quite exciting. By opening up the ground levels of the housing blocks, As I said, we can create new spaces for commercial activity and different uses that would bring different people from the city to the neighborhood at different points during the day, creating a very vibrant urban community. And also we thought that the material gained from taking away the facade panels could actually be reused or recycled as a new community infrastructure and actually become the material for a community market and for small architectural interventions on site. So therefore, we've liberated the ground plane from the existing walls while preserving the architectural heritage of the site. And what is currently sort of barriers at the ground plane will become a liberated landscape with visual and social connections through all the buildings. So you can see some of our ideas about this becoming a space for year-round use and for new types of activity and experience of the existing architectural heritage, and creating the existing landscape and the existing center of the neighborhood as a new cultural venue and destination in the city. So we thought this proposal is something that we could see implemented over time, in that way be a very sort of community-based activity, and something that could happen at any time scale is appropriate for the best experience of both the residents and the larger city of Tallinn. So, thank you.
Thank you. Please stay on stage, and maybe Andre would like to join you, because now we take questions from the audience. If somebody has questions. Maybe I start with the first question, and I was wondering that if you consider the different possibilities of reusing the panels, who will actually think of the design, how to use them, or how would it happen? Are there different stages? Did you think of?
Well, I think part of the phasing of the project would allow for that to happen incrementally. So the panels are removed at a pace with which they can be reused immediately, not that there would be a pile of material kind of sitting in the neighborhood for years and years. So if you take maybe one floor of the building off at a time, it's very easy to kind of experiment, maybe host some events where the community can actually take part in thinking of ways to reassemble the panels, and also inviting maybe the creative community of Tallinn into that discussion. So it really becomes a sort of community-generated design with the influence of people that live here, as well as the larger architectural community. Want to add?
Maybe I would just add to this. Well, I completely agree with what Lindsay is saying, but I'm also aware of the fact that this presentation maybe gave more questions than it would give some answers to something immediately. But we would see this kind of discussion about how actually we will implement these changes as basically another stage of this possible project. We are aware of perhaps lack of parking on the area, or problem with fences, and how we would densify woodland on one side. How would it happen? Who exactly would participate on rebuilding the ground floors, and where would how we would work with actual residents there? Well, we can now have a discussion about it, but well, we were aware about all these things in our proposal, but we weren't even trying to to answer that immediately, because in a way it wasn't. We weren't able to do it remotely. So this is really something that that would be only possible if the residents and the city municipality and experts from here would participate on that with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there are already, you mentioned several questions that give an opportunity to have several different types of participation or further development. Okay, thank you. Do we have more questions?
By kind of opening up the ground floor, you've done a very modernist movement. You've made the area even more kind of modern than it is actually. Did you ever consider using also the roofscapes for something along the lines of the kind of original thought that has shaped this area?
I think it's something that's very in line with the way that we were thinking about the approach. I think maybe we chose to focus on the ground plane as the initial step because we saw that to be the most kind of radical move to make, but then it would sort of open up a conversation about how there are different ways that you can make small interventions with the existing buildings that can really change the space. So of course we thought a lot. We thought about making some more dramatic moves here with the school so that you might actually create a more open air facility. But I think also extending it up to the roofscapes and creating another layer of the ground landscape is a very interesting kind of extension of our initial idea.
Yeah, also from urbanistic point of view, we saw this this site as very iconic. These houses have such a sort of they are clustered in a way that they are recognizable quite well from distance from Google Map, and in a way we didn't want to change much on this. Also that from closer look they perceive to be as a dominant, and maybe once accessible from from the rooftop and from inside, they would perhaps lose this iconic character. So we decided, or we assumed that we can basically reactivate the whole space without touching that top floors. But that was again just for the first round of thoughts. I think it's a very interesting point that you made.
Okay. Do we have more questions? Yes.
Is it not a problem that if you open up all the housings, then there's not going to be any semi-private space, and every inhabitant will feel as if they are always on the street?
Well, I think the way we thought about it now is that the scale of public and private space in the existing neighborhood is quite out of balance. You have obviously a lot of these beautiful open outdoor spaces, and then you have the private units, and there isn't as much of a mediator between the two scales. And so the idea of creating the ground level of public use would sort of be, I think, an intermediate scale of public space, because the way we thought about it was that it would allow the residents to be involved in the commercial or any type of activity that would be in those places. They might even be able to decide or to direct what happens there. And that would allow it to be not only a mediator between the residential space and the public space, but also to bring people from the city into the neighborhood. That said, I do agree that it's a very serene and calm place, and if you imagine that it's becoming, just a constant urban street, it might quite change the character. But again, the idea of the project is that this happens kind of slowly over time. And so there might be a point where you realize that you've made this intervention in one place, but in another place it should be completely preserved the way it is to allow that balance of the existing private and public space.
Okay, thank you. I think now we have to move as fast as lightning. Please, I will give you some more bags. You already got some today, but thank you also for the lecture.
Thank you.